Hi, I'm Stefan, the BMW DIY guy, and do you want to improve the sound of your BMW M3 or M4? I'll show you how. All right, guys, let's walk through this project and the reasons why you might want to do this on your BMW. Now, this is the high flow middle exhaust from Dinan. Now, one of the few complaints I hear about the new G80s, that's the M3, the M4s, or even the M2s, is that they might sound a little too tame for your exhaust. Well, one of the best ways to fix that is the Dinan middle exhaust. And we're going to take out a center section of the exhaust itself and remove some of the OEM resonators. And I'm going to walk you through on how to do that whole project. The install itself is not all that hard, and I'm going to walk you through it step by step. Now, don't forget, everything you need will be listed in the video description below. So part numbers, descriptions, tools, all of that. Now, as I always say in any project that we have where we get the car up in the air, I'm always going to say this, I'm going to say it again. Please be careful. You can do this work with jacks and jack stands. That's not a problem. Make sure you're on a level surface, but always use jack stands. Now, I'm using my Quickjacks. I love them. You can check out my video on them. They're a tool that's really worth the investment for me. But if you don't have them, you can do this with jacks and jack stands as long as you're careful. Okay? Don't bet your life on a 5-cent part in your jack, though. Use a jack stand. Now, before that said, we're going to jump in. So we're going to get underneath the car, as you can tell, because it's already in the air. And I'm going to show you where you're going to cut, because you're actually going to be making 4 cuts. So let's jump in and let's take a look. All right, starting at the back of the car, we're actually going to make 4 cuts because we actually have to cut on the exhaust side and all the way up above the resonators. Now, here on the back, there actually are 3 dimples that have already been set in the metal by default by BMW, and these are what you use to measure to cut. You're going to be using the middle dimple right here. Okay, so there's 1, 2, 3. We're going to be using the middle one. You can already see my pencil mark. Now, one of the nice ways that you can do to make sure you get a clean line to cut is I'm a big fan of using a hose clamp. I'll put a hose clamp around the pipe, and then I'll use that as my guide to mark really clearly with a permanent pen or a pencil, whatever. Just mark through it so you get a nice clean line, and then go ahead and take this back off, just like I did on this side. That way I know I have a really clean line. Now, when you make these cuts, you can use a pipe cutter, you can use a Sawzall. I'm a big fan of a Hackzall because it's smaller than a Sawzall to cut through. Make sure you have a nice clean metal blade that's sharp and can get the job done. And make sure and take your time. Make sure you get a good clean cut. Now, there's a little bit of room for slop here. Sometimes if you get cut off just a little bit or a little bit of an angle, but if you take your time, you mark well, and then take your time cutting through, it should be fine. Now, my one other suggestion is always make sure to wear face protection. You have to have your face under these cuts to make sure that you're staying straight while you do it. And that's a great way to get hot metal into your face or even in your eyes. Okay, so don't do that. So measure very cleanly, mark very cleanly, get those set up, and go ahead and make both of these cuts. I'll spare you that noise, and I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. All right, so here we are further up the car after we've made those 2 cuts down at the dimples. So the first one we're going to want to make here is on the passenger side. So I've used my hose clamp again. Here's our weld from this hanger. So this is the front of the car, this is the back of the car. Measure 4.5 inches from the welded hanger. So that's right here. I've put my hose clamp on again and I've marked, and I'll take it off and I'll cut right here. Let me show you the other side, and then you can cut both. All right, so here's looking at the driver's side. You're going to want to measure from the weld. So you can see the mid-body hanger here. This is the motor side. This is the tail side. Measure from the weld 2 5/8 inches. I've used my hose clamp again. I've marked it, so I put a mark in there to put where my hose clamp should go, and then I measured my hose clamp up, tightened it down, measured again off the hose clamp to make sure it was right, then marked all the way around. Okay, so once that's all done and all your pipes are marked, go ahead and take your hose clamps off and go ahead and make both of these cuts, and I'll show you what all 4 look like when we're done. Yeah. All right, y'all, so let's go ahead and take a look at our cuts here. You can see on that far side, the hanger is still in place, holding it on. We've got our cut here all the way through. As we come back down the body, we've got our 2 cuts here at either end. Okay, so the mid pipe is now loose. We're going to take the crossbody brace off right here. So these 6 bolts, 1, 2, 3, and the 3 on the other side. The deep set ones you don't need to take out. So 1, 2, 3 on each side. Go ahead and drop this off. Well, keep in mind, this is probably the only thing keeping your pipe up now. So when you take this off, make sure to brace your mid-body pipe up or hold it up otherwise so it doesn't drop down, okay? Now, what you'll also want to do though, it won't come loose until, of course, you pull the bolt here for this mid-body hanger. So pull this mid-body hanger, pull off the crossbody brace, and go ahead and drop this pipe out. All right, so once you have that midsection out, you can lay it in comparison to the new one. I usually will lay it out in the same orientation, so when you transfer the hanger, you can tell that it goes on in the same way. Okay, then you don't hang it backwards. So go ahead and just take this, go ahead and work this off the post. So you're gonna wanna work it off this top post from the pipe right here, so just slowly work this off. Put it onto the new post in the same orientation, and we're gonna get back under the car and hang this in place. All right, guys, so I've skipped forward a little bit just to hang the pipe here. I wanted to show this to you because it's a little bit hard to do and film at the same time, but it's not hard. So it's not like I skipped a step. I just wanted to show you with it in place. So a couple of things. Take the smaller single wide clamps, slide them on both sides up onto the OEM pipes. You then can take your new mid-body pipe, you bring it back into the car. You can put in this 13mm bolt right here in the hanger to help hold it up. Now, you can use a jack stand or a friend or your leg at the other end to be holding the pipe up while you do this. While you do this, you will have already want to slide on your double wide hangers onto the exhaust side down here so they're in place. Because as you can see, the pipe is pretty tight and it would be difficult to get on once the pipe is up. Slide these on. Then, once you get this pipe hung, you can come up here, you can brace it up into place using a jack stand or your leg or whatever you'd like, hold it up into place, and for now, I just have one bolt each of these 13mm bolts that hold on your crossbody brace to help hold it up. And now, it's in place and fine, so I don't have to worry about bracing it up or holding it up at all. Okay, so now that that's set, and the pipe is hanging back in place, you can take and slide these down into place. Now, the new pipe fits over the top of the existing OEM pipe. So you're gonna wanna slide this down. You may need to loosen these up a little bit, these clamps up a little bit to get them to fit on, but get them just snug because what we're gonna do is work on fitment, right? You wanna make sure that you've got space, but get these all in place, get the clamps into place, tighten them down snug, both at the top and the bottom, and then we're gonna check all of our fitment, making sure that we've got clearances all the way around and nothing is touching or rubbing. Once that's done, then we can tighten everything down. But get your pipe hung up, and then we're gonna walk through the fitment. Okay, y'all, so as we look at the tail end here, I actually find it's better to get the clamps set, the rear clamps set in place first, because it's gonna kind of hold it all into place. So I snug these down, kind of medium tight, strong enough to hold everything in place. I start checking all my fitment. I run my hands up the body, checking especially here in the cross-body brace, make sure you've got space and nothing is gonna hit. The other thing I tend to do a lot is I'll hit the pipes and see if it hits anything. Check your heat shield, check your crossbody brace, work your way up. As you look at the angles here, it shouldn't touch your hanger, but just make sure that it is not torqued in some way, that it's banked in, where you have no gap here between your hanger and the pipe. Because any place where you don't have clearance, that's gonna translate to vibration, right? It's gonna vibrate to the heat shield, it's gonna hit metal, you're gonna get a harsh noise when the motor's running. Now, once all of that is set, you can tighten these down completely. These are a 16mm nut up here at the top. The ones on the lower double wide clamps are 15s. So you can tighten these all down. It is completely snugged down now. And then, like I said, you can hit the pipes, walk through them, make sure you don't have any vibration anywhere. This isn't hard and there's only a couple of places to check, but make sure you just take your time here and everything is good to go. All right, guys, so go ahead and clean and put your tools away. And you can tell this is not a hard install and only takes a few simple tools. Everything listed in the video description below, including the links to the product itself. Now, as I get the question often in the installation videos of something like this, what does it sound like? Now, I will have a sound comparison video. Make sure to go check that out. That way I'll have both a before and after on the difference that this install made. I want to keep those two things separate because this is just the install. Really appreciate you watching, and Dinan really makes a fantastic product, as you can tell with this install not being very hard. So I appreciate you watching. Please make sure to click like and subscribe. It makes a tremendous difference to my channel, and I would really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on my next project.